just as an overview, this is actually lesson 3/4, and what I'd like to do is just very briefly go over a couple of things. We went through what it is to play straight and what it is to play vibrato, the importance of the seal of the fingers so that you don't get squeaks, and we went through the scale also. Let's go through the scale and the difference one more time with what it is to go straight without vibrato, and then to kind of use what a singer does in their larynx and throat. Okay, we'll do it straight first. Now that sounds kind of neat, but now we're going to add the vibrato like we did in the last lesson. A significant difference there in sound. And so let's continue. I'd like to make mention of the most sensitive note is actually your key note. The key note being when you have all of your fingers on all of the holes. If you try to introduce that note too quickly with too hard of a breath, what's going to happen is you're going to go immediately into overblow, for example. Okay, and that kind of sounds crappy. What you want to do is think about a plane taking off from a runway. It starts at a stop and then introduces it nice and slow, and it's a great way to get used to exactly what you need, where there's not too much to actually get that note nice and calmly, such as. And then you can experiment as to how hard you can go and where the plateau is, where you end up going into an overblow note. And overblows are very important in some applications. See? So, what we want to do is we want to introduce that nice and slowly. You'll notice that the rest of the notes aren't as sensitive. The further up you go, the harder you can actually play without hitting the overblow notes. Okay, so we also went over quips, and a quip is lifting either one finger or both fingers real quick, and if you don't, you're going to get a squeak. Now, there's another thing too is for beginners you might, and there's an application for this, you might just with each finger when you're playing a note, you may pause, so you play like what I'll call a constant note or just a quick note. So for the difference being definitely has its application. What I want you to get used to is actually making a constant flow. And as you can see, I'm using the scale constantly at this point, okay? Now there's another thing that I want, two more things I'd like to go over real quick. And one is tonguing with the tongue vibrating on the roof of the mouth, okay? It's almost like spitting out watermelon seeds, but when you have a constant blow, or, and I don't know if you can pick this up with the camera, or if you did something to the effect of, watch the difference and watch what you can do, because you'll get into an overblow note at that point, but it can sound really cool. And here's the difference. Straight. Then with the vibrato of the tonguing, and that can add some really cool effects to what you're doing. Don't worry, be patient with yourself. Go over lessons 1 through 3/4. Put it all together, hit pause, rewind. Play along with me if you can, okay? And it'll all come together. Another thing that's very important as you continue to play, the mind, when you're a beginner, the mind likes to look at the holes as you play, and and so that you can see, hey, I have to put my finger here. But by closing your eyes, you're actually going to memorize the addresses. Your mind and sound is now going to relate to the addresses, okay? Instead of the eyeballs relating to the physical address, okay? And that's going to bring it to definitely a new level, and it's going to break the training wheels off, okay? Because now your eyes, when they're closed, all of a sudden when you're playing, you're actually gonna imagine things, and the music is going to bring you to places like waterfalls and caverns and chasms and just beautiful places. So for example, playing with the eyes open, but now I've already memorized this on this flute, and so will you on your flutes. Okay, and at that point, like I said, you're going to break that plateau, and it's going to be great. And you're going to free your mind from your sight, and then you'll see some other things which are pretty cool. And so we went through that whole thing. I want you to put it all together. And there's one more thing actually that I'd like to go through, and that's taking this final finger, and if you jiggle it a little bit, and even if you jiggle this one a little bit as you're playing, watch the sound that you can get. That's real cool. That's kind of like a Jethro Tull kind of gig going on. And so why don't we do something? Another thing too is I want you to play along with me, and you don't have to just constantly go up and down the scale. You know, certainly if you lift these two fingers while you have these three fingers, you're going to get a weird kind of sound, as opposed to, which is correct. But let's go ahead and play something here. And I want you to play along with me no matter what key flute or what Native American flute you have, whether you bought it from me or not. We'll check this out. So go ahead and practice that, and so you don't have to keep going up and down the scale. You can lift three fingers, you can lift two fingers, you can lift one finger. There's all sorts of cool combinations that you can do with all five keys. So this is lesson 3-4, and I thank you very much for joining me tonight, and hopefully there'll be number 5-6 coming up shortly, and thank you for continually buying flutes from me. I really do consider it an honor to be handcrafting these flutes. And thank you.